Some people remember their 10th birthday because of the cake or the gifts, but I remember mine because it was the day my childhood was traded away like a bad investment. Sitting across from the head of the family, I listened to a cold assessment of my lack of value. That single morning set off a chain of events that cost $27 million and 2 decades to mend. My name is Paige, and my early years unfolded in a grand estate just outside the city limits of Seattle. The ruler of our household was Arthur Vance, a prominent regional bank executive who viewed human beings as balances on a ledger. My mother Eleanor spent her days polishing silverware and silencing her own voice to maintain the illusion of a perfect family harmony. Older brothers Preston and Raymond could do no wrong because their athletic trophies and perfect grades brought prestige to the family name. I poured my energy into studying until midnight and running until my chest caught fire, desperately hoping to earn a scrap of validation. My mother merely taught me how to manage a kitchen, implying my only worth lay in serving someone else. The delicate balance shattered completely when my mother announced another pregnancy, and Arthur confidently painted the new bedroom blue long before any medical confirmation. When my youngest brother Nolan arrived, the celebration solidified my realization that I was merely excess baggage in a house that had run out of space for me. The cold reality of my situation became undeniable just a few weeks later. On a morning wrapped in dense gray fog, Arthur casually explained over breakfast that I would soon be moving to a far more suitable environment. He delivered the news with the same clinical detachment he used for closing a routine real estate transaction. Eleanor kept her eyes fixed firmly on her porcelain plate, offering no protest as my world collapsed into a single suitcase. I packed only the items allowed by my father, choosing 2 simple outfits, a few well-loved novels, and a small stuffed animal. Before shutting the bag, I slid in a family photograph from the previous winter, seeking some physical evidence that I had once belonged somewhere. Hours later, they dropped me at a cold brick building downtown and drove away without a backward glance. Sleeping on a thin mattress that smelled intensely of industrial cleaner, I swore a solemn vow to never beg for affection again. The subsequent years became a blur of unfamiliar households, ranging from chaotic temporary homes to couples who merely valued the monthly government stipends. I learned to survive by making myself invisible, hiding behind flawless report cards while burying my deep emotional pain. A dedicated social worker named Sarah Jenkins finally noticed my carefully constructed wall and suggested a placement with an older gentleman living alone. Thomas Sterling lived in a sprawling house with too many quiet hallways, seeking a chance to provide shelter to a child in need. Our first meeting completely subverted my expectations of rules and cold rejection, altering my path forever. Thomas guided me through the beautiful wooden corridors of his home before stopping outside a bedroom with completely bare, unfinished walls. He calmly explained that the room remained unpainted because the choice of color belonged entirely to me. That simple gesture of autonomy caused a tight knot in my chest to loosen for the first time in many painful years. Thomas never demanded achievements or trophies in exchange for his care and support. He offered hot chocolate during my frequent nightmares and sat patiently beside me through difficult school assignments without any rush. He even constructed a massive oak bookshelf in the workshop because he believed my literary collection deserved a proper home, teaching me the true meaning of stability. My new father introduced me to the world of architecture, demonstrating how structural design influences the emotions of the people inside. A loyal classmate named Chloe Davidson refused to let me fade into the background, becoming my first genuine friend. Regular sessions with a compassionate therapist named Dr. Arlene Cross helped me realize that the abandonment was a reflection of my biological parents, an acceptance letter from an elite university architecture program soon arrived, and Thomas proudly displayed the document on the main living room wall. By my early 30s, my custom designs transformed the local cityscape into vibrant community spaces filled with light. Every professional accolade felt meaningless unless Thomas was sitting in the front row, cheering for the daughter he chose. The beautiful life we constructed faced a devastating blow when the hands of Thomas began to tremble during a public ceremony. High-level medical evaluations confirmed advanced pancreatic cancer, an aggressive diagnosis that he accepted with absolute grace and courage. I immediately became his primary caregiver, managing his daily medication and reading aloud to him during long, quiet, rainy evenings. Before his final breath, Thomas held my hand and whispered a request for me to build something that would outlive us both. The subsequent reading of his legal will completely shocked me, revealing an estate valued at more than $27 million. The unassuming man who wore simple clothes had quietly accumulated a massive fortune, trusting me entirely with his vast legacy. News of the massive inheritance spread rapidly, and within 3 months, a familiar older man appeared on my front porch, accompanied by a legal representative. Arthur Vance looked significantly smaller than the terrifying figure from my youth, claiming he had searched for me for decades. I instantly recognized the deceit in his eyes, knowing this sudden reunion had nothing to do with genuine regret. Instead of welcoming him inside, I retained a private investigator whose final report exposed the grim reality of the situation. Arthur faced immense gambling debts, a foreclosed property, and absolute alienation from both of my older brothers. When his attorney requested a formal conference, I agreed to attend solely to deliver my final words to the man who discarded me. Inside the corporate boardroom, Arthur arrogantly asserted that biological ties dictated a right to a portion of my new wealth. I calmly moved the investigative findings across the polished table, informing him that his parental rights ended the moment he signed the relinquishment papers. I offered to fund a medical rehabilitation program for his addictions, making it clear that no further contact would occur. A few days later, an unexpected message arrived from Raymond, expressing deep remorse for his childhood silence and his failure to protect me. Our cautious meeting at a local coffee shop signaled the potential for a fragile new beginning with a piece of my past. I began to understand that while some damage is absolute, certain relationships are worthy of a careful reconstruction. Determined to honor the memory of Thomas, I established the Beacon Foundation for Family Futures to support young adults leaving the foster system. We constructed 20 affordable housing units, complete with a dedicated counseling center to provide the permanence I once craved. Standing in the finished corridors, I realized I had successfully transformed my early trauma into a sanctuary for others. During the grand opening celebration, I reminded the audience that true family is defined by choice, commitment, and unconditional love. Clutching the silver key token Thomas gave me long ago, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace regarding my journey. We cannot always choose how our stories begin, but we possess the ultimate power to design the architecture of our own destiny. During the grand opening celebration, I reminded the audience that true family is defined by choice, commitment, and unconditional love. Clutching the silver key token Thomas gave me long ago, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace regarding my journey. We cannot always choose how our stories begin, but we possess the ultimate power to design the architecture of our own destiny. If this story touched your heart and reminded you of the power of second chances, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Sharing these deeply personal journeys is how we connect, heal, and grow together. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for more incredible stories about survival, betrayal, and the families we build for ourselves.